Hey everybody, and welcome back. Raining. It's Monday. It's been raining since Saturday. A lot of the time, absolutely pouring down. In fact, there are flood warnings for sort of the streams and the big river near us. We're actually not too far away from a river called the Susquehanna, which, if you look on a map of the US, is incredibly long. I mean, we know about the sort of Mississippi, Missouri thing, but it's right up here in upstate New York, and then it goes down, it goes through Pennsylvania, it goes into Maryland, and it comes out in, I guess it's the Chesapeake Bay, I think, sort of down at Washington, which is 300 miles away from me here. And it meanders about, it's a long river. Anyway, and it's big even right up here. So there's flood warnings out for people who live there. So it's wet, and it's going to be wet all week. But that doesn't affect you because you don't live here. Right, what I'm going to do, I know I said we're going to do the cylinder head, which we might get round to, but I want to finish sort of the frame off. So what we are going to do is, I guess we'll have to do the cylinder head for two bits of it. I want to get those rear engine mountings made. So we're going to have to put the two halves of the crankcases together, put them in, and get that done. Then when that's done, I can put the barrel on and the head on, and we can do things like the head steady, and we can make a manifold to mount the carb, and with the carb on we can see where we're going to put an airbox, we can do the oil tank, all that sort of stuff. And while all that's going on, I still haven't taken the tyre off the back wheel, do my measurements, do my drawings, and we'll see about talking to, who are we talking to? Buchanan's, about spokes and rims. Now, as I say, I think we're going to be lucky. I'm pretty sure the Mountain Cub here in the US had a 21-inch rim, in which case they will probably have all the details for the spokes, and we can get that done easily. The other one, what I'm going to try and do is just talk to them, because they're very good. You know, they've been doing it for a long, long time, and tell them how much I've widened the hub when we get round to doing that, and hopefully they can just make spokes and the rim and send them, because you may remember that because I widened both hubs for the Enfield, I actually sent the hubs to Buchanan's with the offset measurements, and they made the spokes, laced and trued the wheels. But you know, the shipping backwards and forwards is a lot, so at least we can try and save the shipping. So okay, nothing else to tell you. Let's get on and see about doing these rear engine mounts. Well, I've put the engine in the frame, and as you can see, I rather misjudged where the rear mount was, you know, because normally you like these to be a triangle. I mean, it's still going to be a triangle, but it's a bit low down. So anyway, I'll be helped, and as I've said before, it'll be fine. Now this engine mounting, the earlier engines, the rear engine mounting is much smaller. On the B45s and B50s, this comes right out to here. So this one is only 1 inch instead of being 2.5 inches. So this is 1 inch, this is 1.5, and they're not lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these 2 inches, the cross pieces, and then we'll have a couple of little spacers in. What I might even do actually is, when I make the spacers up, because I'll make them out of alloy, I will weld them to the actual engine plates, and then we're not messing about with spacing pieces, trying to put a bolt in with spacing pieces in and catching them both sides, right? So what I have got, hang on, don't know if I bought this for this purpose, but this is 3/4, so it goes in there, and the hole there is 3/8. So I just need to cut two 2-inch pieces of this to fit into there. All right. Right, that's them done. I guess when you with a 3/4 inch hole saw go through there, it's not exactly 3/4 of an inch, so I just skimmed these. I only took a couple of thou off, but anyway, they go through. I ran a 3/8 drill through the centre, so a 3/8 bolt will go through. So they're going to go in there like that. And the next thing, of course, is we will make an cardboard template. There's the cardboard template, or at least the first iteration. Actually, I think I can go straight to alloy, because as you can see here, I want that to go a little lower into that. Boing! So, let me mark out. Now, I better make another cardboard one before I make some alloy. As you know, I'm running out of cardboard. But anyway, that's what it's going to look like. So let me make one that fits exactly, and then I'll cut some 1/4" alloy to suit. And then we'll put a nice snazzy hole in there, because it'll be amply strong enough. But we're going to do that after I've gone out of sarnie. Now I've cut the alloy, and I'm going to use the transfer punch to mark the other side, but when I put a 3/8 punch in here, it was really sloppy. So I've actually drilled this out to 7/16. We'll put a 7/16 bolt in there. So if you can see it, there's our mark. So let me put a proper pop on that, then I'll put the, I'll put the two plates together and drill 2 of them. Alright, once again we come to that moment of truth. Did I put the holes in the right places? I'll put the hole in the middle, as you see. They go on. Obviously, I'm just using these bolts are about 1/2 inch too long. Oh, come on! So what we're going to do is bolt this up tightly. Set it about where I want it. Then we'll get some bronze on them and measure the gaps, make up the spaces for there. Oh, there's all sorts of rubbish on that thread. Hang on. Alright, I tightened these 2 up, and because these are 2 inch, and I said that was about 1 inch, so we'll just make 2 1/2 inch spaces. I think that's the easiest thing to do. Hang on. No, that's 3/8, and that's a 1/2 inch. So that wasn't. Oh no, it's 1 1/8 inch, right. So we'll do it that way. That makes nice, easy bits. Nothing's in the way, chain or anything like that. So I'll make 2. We've got to remember there's 7/16 hole through the centre. Yeah, we can make them out of inch. So let me make 2 spaces, a 3/8 one. 3/8 and 1/2. Okay, let me do that. Right, there we have it with our 2 spaces in. Bolt goes through. I'll run a drill bit through that actually when it's all sorted. So I've got to get this set now to hang on. You aren't going to see this, but I've put the swinging arm in. I've got this chock, so that's completely level. there we go, that's all in there on its right correct bolts, and that's reading level as well. So now I'm going to tack both of those, and I'm going to tack these, and I'll take the cases out and bronze the tubes in properly and do the alloy weld there. And then, as I say, we're not playing around with loose spacers. Right, so there's those bronzed in, they've bronzed both sides, and I've put the spacers onto them, just welded each side, didn't have to go all the way around for them. Okay, so next thing to do is to knock off, and then tomorrow morning when I see you, we will put the bottom of the engine in, put the barrel on, and we'll have to fix that head so we can start looking at things like airboxes and things. Good morning. Alright, just spent the first half hour cleaning up from yesterday. Next thing I'm going to do is the head, because we've got to do this repair here. So I've just checked, there was only obviously one stud in it, that is 5/16 BSF. So I'm going to run a tap down there first, and then we will put that in there. See it? It more or less threads in. Right, now what I'd actually like to do is, I wonder if I've got another 5/16 BSF bolt somewhere that's longer. I'll check this end, if this, because I'm not going to use these studs, if this end's 5/16 as well, BSF, which I think it might well be, what I'm going to do is thread this further down so I can screw it all the way in. Right. Now what we're going to do to make this easier to manhandle, something people have mentioned in the past I should use when I do valves, but I don't have any problem with them just being on the bench, is a little tool like this, which is just a piece of tube. You can, I mean, this is old handlebar with a spark plug screwed in it, and all you do is you screw that welded into it. I should have said a spark plug welded into it. It's slightly strange to screw in because it's an angle, it's bent. So you screw that in there like thus, and then you can hold this in the vise, you see, and you can work on things. So we'll put it in the vise so we can get at that easily. Right, so let me check on this thread and we'll go from there. I've got it mounted in the vise so it's nice and firm. Oh, itchy eye again. And I've run a thread all the way down that, which is the right thread to go. I cleaned this thread up as well. I just checked, I did have here a load of 5/16 BSF Allen bolts, about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch long, from when I've put OKO carbs on later on heads with 5/16 BSF, but I can't find these, so I'll have to order some. But that's fine, because I've got to order a load of BSC nuts and things like that. So this will now screw in. See, further down. I've actually got that lorry go past. Actually got a couple of my last two BSF 5/16 BSF nuts as well. Give me a little bit more purchase. I mean, the final bolt won't screw in this much, but I want to right, so what we're going to do now with the carbide burr is clean this back, and then just as we did doing that engine mount, we'll build this up and the alloy won't stick to the steel. And then we can break it free and screw it out. Alright, so let me take that back out. and put my ear protectors on, clean this out. I'll show you this, but turn the sound down, right? I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Turn the compressor off. Now, one of the other reasons I wanted this to go a long way down was because, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, pardon me. Was because as well as getting this clean, I wanted to get a little bit clean into there so I didn't bring too much dirt out. But of course I don't want to lose the threads, so I can, there's more thread further down. So what we're going to do now is give this a really good clean out with acetone, and the same with this, although I've just cut this thread so that should be nice and clean, but we'll give it a good clean out and then we'll put that in there, right? So we'll actually screw it in. So whoa, a lot of lorries today. So let me give this a good wash out. I'll actually get a brush and give it a good clean out, and then we can see about doing some welding. Right, I've heated the head up. I'm hoping that's going to stay in there while I weld. Got everything well cleaned up, cleaned the rod, plenty of amps, and I've set this welder, I can change the frequency of the AC. So I've turned it down to about 80 to give me a fatter arc. The battery's on its red, so I'm just going to let this run because it'll switch itself off, and then because I'm not going to show you all of it. Cover your eyes. There's our first bit. See, there's a bit of black coming up, but the puddle's staying reasonably clean. And I think that should do. So let it cool down. Hopefully I haven't caught, because I was using quite a lot of amps, hopefully I haven't caught that bolt and melted any of the threads so that it won't screw out. But anyway, looks as if that battery kept going all the way through. Yes, it did. Now I'll switch you off. Well, I think I might have damaged the thread because this is It's coming out, but it should be coming out easier than this. So here it goes. I mean, if the absolute worst comes to the worst, I've put enough metal on, I can helicoil it. See, if I've melted one of the threads on the actual stud, then of course it's going to be doing some damage being a steel stud in an alloy thread. But it seems to be screwing out. Oh no, there's bits of alloy falling out here. Yeah, it's a nice hole, but it looks as if it's damaged the thread. Will that run down? Will that? Hang on. Nope, that one's been a failure. I thought that. See, I think what I did was, yeah. I don't know if you can see it. Look there. I caught the stud with the arc and melted a bit out of it, so I ruined that thread, and then that's just torn its way out. Okay, at least we got it out. So now we're going to have to do a repair there. So you're seeing a lot of stuff. Now the thing I wasn't looking forward to actually was holding this in the mill, because we've got to get that flat, then we've got to drill it in the right spot and do the helicoil. Let me see what I can organise. Right, so there it is on an angle plate. I've got one bolt through, clamp here, various pieces to get it level that way, which you can see. Hang on. I just went to put the spare battery in the camera because this is on red and it wasn't charged, so hang on a second. Just showed you it side to side, that's it front to back, so it's all completely leveled. Alright, I had an early lunch so I could charge the battery up. This is a bit awkward working around the camera. this is the sharpest of end mills either. Face up, and then I'll bring you back. Right, so done a bit of draw filing over this to smooth it out, make sure it's nice and flat, and I've checked this drill bit, moved it about, it's perfectly square to that, and I've got it set right centered on that one. Set the DRO to 0. Center to center for Amel carburetors is 2 inches. I think the Japanese ones are 1 7/8. So let's move this 2 inches. That's the drill bit for our 5/16 BSF. These are really nice kits actually. Much better tool than the ones you get with helicoil. Okay, let's move over 2 inches. This is really not my schedule for today. Thought I'd have all this done by lunchtime. I'll be putting the engine into the frame. I got really clever and had 2 cameras. I could do this split frame, couldn't I? I suppose I could film it with my phone. I'm not sure if I can do split frame with the editing software I've got. Coming up, last couple of thou. Whoops. There we go, 2 inches. and it's spot on where it should be. So we're going to lock all that down. That's locked. Let me walk around the other side of you. Lock that. It'd help if I put this in gear, wouldn't it? There we go. Now that looks to be the right depth, and actually I see I've put a black mark on there, so that's that. Let me switch you off while I take this out and put the tap in. Right, again I'm just going to let it get started. Actually, I'm just going to, hang on. I've really got to buy some tap handles. All I've got are the T-handle ones, because the one that you sort of fix in, just, as I say, just snapped. That was well started, so. Go. Yes, that's a nice thread. Right, let me get the tap ready. Not the tap, of course. The insert. See, I don't know if you remember when I used those ones actually made by Helicoil. The end of the thing, it goes inside the thing, and it just has this tiny little ridge to catch them. This actually has a proper slot. So we'll set that going. We're going to put some Loctite on this. Very nice, just below the surface. Perfect, unlike those other ones. Right, we'll let that set up, and then see, they even provide you with a little punch to break the tang. So I'll let the what's it? What do you call it? Come on people, what do you call it? The Loctite to set up, and then we'll break the tang off and we're done. Well no, I've got to shape this. And the last step with the Helicoil is to break off the tang. Just like that. Alright. Right, so I've used a carb gasket to mark where I've got to do that, and there's the undamaged one. Right. And here is the helicoil, which I think you can see it's a nice. There we go. So let me grind this to that shape. Well, here's something annoying. These are the 4 studs I took out of these cases. 2 of them just screwed straight in. These 2 don't want to. Now for a nasty minute I thought, hang on, these 2 cases are from the same engine. One's a later case, because these studs are 18 TPI there, 7/16 BSF, and at this end 20 TPI, which is 7/16 British Standard Cycle. British Standard Cycle is basically 26 threads per inch, all sizes, but there are 2 or maybe 3, I think there's 3 sizes which they use 20 threads per inch for sort of bigger bolts. And I know I have the 4 of them because they came out of these cases. And of course I don't have any nuts like that, I don't think, so I can't put 2 lock nuts. Let me check some other engines. Alright, in the shed was a large Tupperware type tub, you know, with a top on, which said B44 round barrel. And when I looked in there, I found a plastic bag with the head bolts. Right, so we've got what we need. Now it's a bit dirty. We're putting an old gasket on because we're going to make up some mountings, and I don't want my mountings to be out by the thickness of a head gasket when we build the engine. That goes up. Stop falling over, will you? What have I done with the head? That's over there. Okay, and I have a couple of nuts that I can put on. Of course, we're not tightening this down or anything now. The rocker box. Oh, I can put the rocker box on as long as I don't have any studs in it, can't I? So I can at least see what's what. And I'm not so much worried about the thickness of the rocker box gasket. Might do these. I wonder if these are BSF threads in there. Let's find a couple of 1/4 inch BSF Allens, which is what I have for the cases. Alright, let's start to look something like. Yes, they are BSF. Right, so I haven't even cleaned the rocker box yet, but I can put the rocker box on with this in the frame. Also, when I was rummaging around for stuff, I realised I did have some 7/16 bolts. So let's see about putting this in the frame. Right, I've got the frame chopped up because we have the sump. Actually, I've taken the sump plate off, but even so, Right. I just had hold of those bolts, tidied them out the way. What the hell do I do with them? I have to put you on hold yet again. Right, there's the engine in, but I've got to make one little extra thing, and that is this. there isn't enough room to get a bolt head through. So I'm going to have to make it a stud with a nut on each end, but that is minor. So there it is in there. Can I fit? Let me move it back. Actually, I must have made this a little taller because I can get the rocker box on very easily. You can see. So we'll take those rockers out and clean that head up. Let's clean that rocker box up and we can put that on. And hang on, let me walk past you, excuse me. There's our carb. Put this way a little bit. See, I don't want to have too much in there for the air box. Actually, we could have a filter on there, couldn't we? There's enough room to put a filter on. Pod type filter, and that would solve that problem completely. Alright. And that's it for today. Tomorrow I am off socialising. Steam Shop is back from Florida. So we're going to go and have lunch with him and Tom the fireman. Well, he's not a fireman in terms of putting fires out. He does the, maybe call him a stoker would be better if he was on a ship. He shoves all the coal into Steam Shop's boiler. Alright, so see you on Thursday. Okay, last job for this week is I'm going to take the rocker arms and everything out of here and the decompressor. And then I can bead blast this. I've already done these. I need that because I want these in so I know where I can put the carburetor. Alright, so let's warm this up. Because they're just sort of tapped in, so just like with a gudgeon pin in a piston, we'll expand the alloy a little bit so the hole gets bigger. I've got a little brass hammer here. There we go. It doesn't take much to get it out. I haven't even got a cloth. Pull it out. Ow. Wow, that's hot. So next is to pull this out and get there's a Thackeray washer, you know, the spring thing, and a couple of slight thrust washers. You'll see this when we put it all back together when it's nice and clean. So let me take the other one out and then I'll give this a bead blast. And there's that cleaned up to go on there. Of those in just to hold it down, but as I say, the important thing is I can put the caps on. Hang on, let me move you around here slightly. Hold your chair. Okay. And again, don't worry, that isn't glass bead in there, it's just rough alloy threads onto rough alloy threads. And the reason I want that on, I say, is so when I make this up, we're not touching that. Okay, so this has got to be rubber and rubber, so this will stick out a little bit to be able to push the rubber on. So it'll be about there like that. Something about like that. Okay, I haven't got a ruler here, but we've got to see how big, see if we can get a pancake filter to fit on that, I think. Alright, so that's going to be it for this week. So I might finish off and just make up the little spacer that goes in that front engine mounting, and I don't know if I can open this up enough. No, not really. The little spacer that goes in there isn't much, it's about 1/8 of an inch, and make this into a stud, shorten that a little bit, and then we can have that clamped in there. So I think next week we're going to make up this, and we'll probably make the oil tank, because if we're going to have filter we don't need an air box. We can even look to the exhaust pipe and the silencer, I think. So I'll set to phone Gary Fleckney and order some RockShox for the back, and go online and order the ignition from Electrics World. And I've got some measurements to do tomorrow, and then I will phone across to California, which is handy. Phone in the UK, I always forget, and then because we're 5 hours ahead here, I remember at lunchtime and everywhere's closed in the UK. But my couple of supply is out to California, which is 3 hours behind me. It means I can do stuff during the day and then phone them up sort of 5 o'clock, and it's only 2 o'clock there. Alright, enough waffle. That's it for this week. See you next week. And until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.